Assalamualaikum. Welcome to this special edition of Agenda Awani, where the spotlight turns on Serba Dinamik, an engineering consultant that was newly listed this year and very much on the radar of investors. With us is Azhar Qureshi, who is the Vice President of Systems Integrator Business Unit of Serba Dinamik. Mr. Qureshi, Azhar, you are in charge of systems integration, which makes you a systems integrator. I have had the opportunity to visit many of Serba Dinamik's various plants at home and overseas, and most of the people I come across either wear boiler suits or greasy overalls. Systems integration, that sounds very blue collar, doesn't it? What is systems integration in the Serba Dinamik scheme of things?
System Integrator Business Unit brings in the high-end technology to the Serba Dinamik group. It involves automation, it involves control and instrumentation. Now this brings us in close contact with things like programmable logic controllers, SCADA systems, telemetry systems, distribution control system, DCS systems. System integration is actually bringing together a series of different subsystems to make a complete system, i.e. getting systems or machineries to talk to each other and control them and make them do what the customer wants them to do. This business was brought into Serba Dinamik about 3 years ago, although for many years Serba has been involved in system integration, but to bring it to a different level, I was brought into this business about 3 years ago, with a view to setting up a facility at Miru Klang, which will handle all the responsibilities associated with the System Integrator Business Unit. We have a dedicated crew at Miru of about 20-25 engineers who handle design and supply and commissioning and integration of different types of solutions for customers in a diverse range of sectors.
Azhar, before we go deeper into what you do at Meru, before there was, 3 years ago, before you came along, Serba Dinamik just chugged along fine. They could have survived without systems integration. Would that be strictly correct?
No, because Serba were already involved in system integration. They have 2 very big units of instrumentation engineers, one in Bintulu and one in Paka, and they were doing some system integration. But what they needed was to enhance their E&I capabilities, which is electrical engineering and instrumentation capabilities, so they can participate in large projects and large tenders related to E&I. And that's why this specialist knowledge was sought and brought in.
This relationship with you bringing in the SI component, how did that come about?
Actually, my wife and I had a small system integrator company, and we were fortunate that Serba spotted us as a good acquisition. And then they purchased us, and we brought with it all that we had, and since then Serba have invested a lot of money, and we are now expanded to a fair size as a complete and independent business unit of Serba.
Let's retrace our steps a little back. To the layman, systems integration would involve some kind of, to a lot of people would be hocus pocus, but engineering hocus pocus, bringing technical expertise to get systems, individual operations to speak to each other so that there is an element of control either on site or remotely. Can you tell us so that the layman understands SI a little more?
Okay, system integration is mainly, it's a broad field, but what we are trying to do is enhance the capabilities of Serba to design, control and instrumentation systems, i.e. provide solutions for customers, albeit they may want to upgrade a certain part of their plant or maybe take on a new greenfield project. Or they may even just want to make some changes to the existing plant because some parts of the plant they do not like. This involves both hardware and software engineering, and our engineers are capable of handling both sets of challenges. So in other words, we would largely do a design, and then we would take the hardware from the market, from the OEMs, big brand names, and we would program that hardware to the specific requirement of the client. So that's wherein lies the main part of system integration. We get the control systems to work to the customer specification so they can control their plants or factories or whatever they may be. And increasingly now, there is a push forward to monitor data, so record data. This helps the customers monitor the asset quality. It can be used for predictive maintenance, and it can forewarn of any dangers or any failures on the way. So system integration is safeguarding your system, controlling your system. It can be remotely. From Miru, we can remotely monitor any plant anywhere in the world with the kind of communication facilities that are available nowadays. I hope that clarifies some of the things.
On the ground, in the field, you have the brawn, the people in the jumpsuits and overalls beavering away at various sites. Over at your Meru plant, I think, you would have the brains. These are the people who value add. These are the technical, the engineers who would be contributing towards SI. So can you illustrate the role played by these two people, the people on the field as well as the people at the Meru plant, to bring this aspect of SI together?
Yeah, there are purely design engineers who are people sitting with their ties and collars on design boards and computers and CAD/CAM systems. They are mainly based at the office. And people have different way of doing things. We have highly trained programmers who will program all the devices such as PLCs and come up with SCADA screens and so forth. But we have a policy that the people who do a bit of the designing and all the programming, then we will send them to the field as well, to integrate and commission systems. Also, if something goes wrong, they have to take responsibility. So our staff is multidisciplined. They are designing. Specialist designers, of course, we do not move them out of the office unless it's really necessary. But the programmers and the rest of the staff are multi-purpose. They have to go to the field.
Which part of the Serba Dinamik portfolio of offerings, services, engineering services, that lends itself well to SI, where you can put SI into operation and get the offer of your services to your customers better?
This can be done with every part of the Serba Dinamik, business. We can provide Serba Dinamik business in the operations and maintenance department. We can design and supply them innovative products which they can use for their use during shutdown and maintenance. We can provide them with new innovative products which can be commercially sold within, from the external market to the existing Serba clients. We can use the geographical spread of Serba to place our engineers in each of the distant locations, such as in East Malaysia, in the Middle East, Indonesia, and so forth. So
I'll have to stop you there because we need to go to our first break. When we come back, we go deeper into how SI drives Serba Dinamik and keeps it heads and shoulders above its competition.
Sure.
Welcome back. Azhar, how and at what point was SI introduced to the Serba Dinamik portfolio of consultancy services, and how has it fared so far?
We joined the group about 3 years ago, and since then it has expanded every day, happily. System integration in itself, we offer our service to a diverse range of industries, not only oil and gas. We're active with water, wastewater, airports, manufacturing, and also the food industry. Food industry is a very big user of automation and the sort of stuff that system integrator business units do. So we also were introduced by Serba to their existing customers within the oil and gas industry, in the power industry. And now we are increasingly looking at making use of the spread of Serba geographically, and we are now going to expand the system integrator business unit into the Middle East and also Indonesia. So this has been slowly but surely we are increasing the system integrator service to our worldwide customers.
That makes you very much a globetrotter in a sense, because SI would be needed in all your other locations where you provide your services as well. Could you be a bit more specific about how it does now apply to the various locations you are based in?
Okay, we are now going to, with our Bahrain office, we are now going to place a team of engineers there for system integration, who specialize in system integration, and they will be targeting the immediate neighboring countries there. And Saudi Arabia happens to be a very large market for system integration business, because we keep receiving a number of tenders where we can participate and be more effective from a local base. That's one example. Also, part of system integration is also packaging a machinery like gas or diesel emergency diesel generator sets and water pumps. And we do have a subsidiary in the UK which does this to a very high specification for offshore use, and that I happen to oversee as well. So that is a part of all that we are trying to achieve in bringing together system integrator business unit on an effective global basis. Then we are now talking to our associates in Indonesia and looking at benefiting from their already presence in various very strategic locations in Indonesia, and we want to place system integrator engineers that will come directly under our control, working over there to expand our services and offer our services. We have already been active in talking to our colleagues in Eastern Malaysia and East Coast of Malaysia.
When I visited the Meru plant, it was different from all the other plants, the one in Jambi, the one in Miri, in Bintulu. It was rather antiseptic up to a point, and it is where, as I said earlier, it's the brains in operation. So would it come to a situation where the Meru plant would be a center of monitoring operations, where you monitor all the activities that go on in other parts of the world?
Absolutely. That is our final objective, is to use our technology so that we can monitor not only our own operations anywhere in the world, but also the customer's assets. And this is an increasing trend in this business, where you monitor the customer machinery and plant, especially the one that we have worked on, so that we can troubleshoot for them. We are doing that on a local basis within Malaysia, and I believe we demonstrated that to some of your staff, that we are monitoring one of our customers supplies LPG gas, and we are monitoring all their sites where they are supplying gas, and we have to give them, there are regular reports being sent out. The customer is also monitoring, but in case of a breakdown, we have to deploy people immediately.
Apart from that particular client, you also have clients in other sectors, in water, for instance.
Yes.
And could you elaborate more about that part of the operation?
Yeah. We do have long-term clients, companies like Indah Water Consortium and Shabas, to name a few. And these people we have worked with for a long time. They are monitoring their unmanned plants. They are monitoring the existing, sewage plants. In every neighborhood there is a little sewage plant. Those are largely unmanned. What happens is we have set up what are called the early warning systems, which effectively send out a SMS signal when something is in trouble at that plant, like a blower or an electric motor. The SMS signal is sent to the nearest IWK office or the supervisor. So action can be taken, otherwise the whole neighborhood would smell foul. Water distribution is more sensitive because any breakdown in water would, of course, inconvenience people, and that's another reason to have some good technology behind that. And now, as you will know, that Serba announced a few weeks back that They are part of a consortium undertaking a very large project in Terengganu, for Air Terengganu, and our business unit will play a leading role in some of the issues there also.
So it would be fair to say that your Meru plant, your Meru office, would be as akin to NASA operatives, hovering behind screens and directing operations.
Well, in a way, yes, I hope so. Yeah.
Okay, on to our second break. When we come back, we'll look at the other roles the VP of the SI business unit plays in the Serba Dinamik scheme of things. Welcome back. Welcome back. Asa, when I visited the plant in Pasir Gudang, there you were. I mean, one moment you're in Meru, and then the next you're in Pasir Gudang. If you can enlighten us, what are the activities that Serba Dinamik is doing, for which you are responsible for in Johor, bearing in mind that this is where this is the center of much downstream petrochemical activities going on in Johor at the moment.
Yeah, I'm very privileged to be given all these different responsibilities. In Pasir Gudang, when you visited our workshop, you will have seen that it's a pretty big site. We are preparing it to carry out large EPCC projects and E&I projects, especially for fabrication and mechanical works. I mean, at the moment, with the RAPID project reaching almost its second stage, there is still a lot of fabrication and mechanical work left. And I'm very pleased to be taking responsibility because it needs experience and it needs some kind of an overview that we are going to deal with international large EPCC clients who need to see a proper facility, large facility, well-equipped facility, experienced personnel, so they are confident in awarding tenders to this branch. So fortunately, I have that responsibility, and I'm looking forward to completing the development of that workshop, which is now imminent, and we hope to secure some fairly large tenders in the near future.
Can you tell us what projects are you working on in Pasir Gudang at the moment? Maybe also in Bandar Penawa, bearing in mind that Pengerang is in the vicinity.
Yeah, we are looking at undertaking a 3,000-ton structural steel project as soon as possible, and we should commence work on it straight after Hari Raya. We are looking at, we have bid for a lot of tenders for large packages, which I'm unable to say at the moment, with due apologies, and we expect that once the investment has been made by the shareholders in these workshops, it is my responsibility to make sure that the machines and the workshop is not idle. So we're working away on that we have more work than we can cope with.
Do you need to be in several different locations, because you need to be where the clients are? They come to you from the various centers of petrochemical and engineering developments. You have to show your capability by having a physical presence in these areas?
Actually, most of the large EPCC people or the potential clients for the Pasir Gudang workshop, the headquarters are based in Kuala Lumpur, so that makes it a little bit easier. But on the other hand, that when at this stage of the early development of that workshop, I have to be there very regularly, and that's once a week I will be there.
The quality of the local workforce, you do have a number of expatriate workforce also on your books. What is your assessment of the level of technical capability of the local people that we do have?
Hey, let's take Pasir Gudang. There are very good local people available in the Johor area. There's no doubt about it, for the mechanical fabrication and the mechanical works. And there's no doubt that I think we will be limiting the number of expatriates at this stage because the local force is available and the Johorian authorities do favor local Johorian people to be involved with the business, and we fully agree with that. In terms of the Meru business, yes, there is a little bit of shortage of local workers and local engineers, and it's largely because there is some shortage in skills. But we are looking at taking people from a trainee stage, and some early results from the first batch are very good. We now have about 5 very young, capable men, and I see them developing into a pretty strong force in the future.
Okay, not that we are very parochial or nationalist at all, but Azhar Qureshi, your name is at once local, Azhar, and foreign, Qureshi. Could you tell us a bit more about your professional journey that has taken you from far-off locales to Kuala Lumpur and Malaysia?
Sure. Qureshi is actually a name from Pakistan. I was born there. My parents decided to move to the United Kingdom when I was young. So I was born into an expatriate family. From UK, they carried on their journey to Nigeria, but I guess I had to be educated, and UK was the best place. And that is why I am a British national. And after completing my education, I have also invariably been in expatriate roles. Started working in the North Sea in the BP Forties field and the Brent field, which is actually the Brent field is now being decommissioned, so it shows my age. I also worked in Norway. I spent time in the Middle East, North Africa, and finally found my way to Latin America, Peru, Argentina, and spent several years in Mexico managing a UK operation. Finally returning to UK and then joining another company which sent me east. And it was here when I was traveling to China and the ASEAN that I found this beautiful place called Malaysia.
It's their loss, the UK, Pakistan, Nigeria, South America, because their loss is our gain. I also understand that you've settled so very well to the local, to Malaysia, that you even have married locally. Our last 30 minutes has gone by, and that just leaves me to thank you, Azhar Qureshi, for coming to be a guest on this special edition of Agenda Awani. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you. It was quick.